Okay, think about this for a second. Nearly 3 out of 4 adults in America, overweight or obese. That's huge.
It is. And it's not just the physical side, is it?
No, exactly. We're seeing this, well, this worrying climb in things like anxiety, depression, addiction.
The so-called diseases of despair.
Right, to the point where life expectancy here in the U.S. has actually dropped recently. It really makes you wonder.
Why? In a world that's constantly trying to make everything easier, more comfortable, why are things seemingly getting worse in some ways?
It's a total paradox, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, we have levels of convenience today. It's unprecedented, instant everything, perfect temperatures.
More ease than ever before.
Definitely. But this relentless chase for comfort, it seems to be backfiring a bit, unexpectedly.
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today, this paradox. We're looking at the surprising, maybe sometimes uncomfortable truth about our super comfortable lives.
And exploring this fascinating idea that maybe, just maybe, a little bit of discomfort could actually be good for us.
Right. And our guide for this is Michael Easter's book, The Comfort Crisis.
Yeah, and what's great about it is how he weaves together so many different threads, his own pretty intense experiences.
Like that crazy caribou hunt in Alaska you mentioned, and his sobriety journey.
Uh-huh. But then he blends that with, solid research.
Right. From places like Harvard.
Mm.
We're talking about work by psychologist David Lavari, exercise physiologist Marcus Elliott, evolutionary psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa.
And he doesn't stop there. He looks at different cultures, too. The Inuit, the Ama divers in Japan, the people of Bhutan, how they relate to discomfort very differently.
So our mission here is to pull out the really key insights from all that, give you a clear picture of how this might relate to your own life, your well-being.
Yeah, we want to go beyond just summarizing. We want to help you connect these ideas, maybe spark a few of those aha moments about resilience, satisfaction,
Okay, let's dive right in.
Yeah.
This idea of comfort creep.
Ah, yes. David Lavari's work at Harvard.
He calls it prevalence-induced concept change. Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, or problem creep is easier.
Much easier. He had a colleague notice something kind of weird at airport security.
Right. The TSA line, how agents sometimes, really react strongly to things that aren't obvious threats.
Totally. Like a forgotten tube of toothpaste setting off alarm bells.
Well, exactly.
And Lavari got thinking, well, what if people actually stopped bringing banned stuff? Would the TSA just chill out?
Their guess was no, right? They thought the agents would just start looking for other things that seemed less threatening before.
And the research kind of backed that up. He did this study with faces.
The threatening faces study, yeah. People had to pick out the threatening ones.
And what happened was,
Yeah.
as the really threatening faces got rarer,
People started labeling the neutral faces as threatening. It's wild.
it's like our brain's threat detector needs a target, doesn't it?
It seems so. If the big threats disappear, it recalibrates and flags smaller things.
So translate that to daily life. If your life gets easier, fewer real problems.
Your brain might just lower the bar, find new things to classify as problems, even minor inconveniences.
Which could lead to feeling dissatisfied, maybe, even when objectively things are pretty good.
That's the idea. He saw it with judging ethics, too. Fewer clearly unethical proposals meant the borderline ones started looking worse.
So for you listening, the point is, as comfort increases, your perception of what counts as discomfort might shrink without you even realizing it.
This comfort creep, it just sort of happens. Things your grandparents wouldn't have blinked at might feel like major hassles to us.
It's like waiting 5 extra minutes for coffee. Seems trivial, but
But our baseline has shifted, yeah. And Lavari's point is, it's mostly unconscious. We don't notice our comfort zone shrinking.
which could explain that feeling of, is this it? Even when life is materially comfortable.
So why? Why are we wired like this? Well, zoom out to human evolution.
Ah, the mismatch idea.
Exactly. For almost all of human history, discomfort was normal,
Yeah.
constant.
Finding food, water, shelter, staying safe from predators, harsh weather, just surviving.
It was the default setting, really. This current era of widespread, easy comfort, it's incredibly recent.
Like a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms. Easter says maybe 0.03% of Homo sapiens' time on Earth. Maybe even less for our earlier ancestors.
It's hard to even grasp how different daily life was.
And think about their downtime. When they weren't actively hunting or gathering or fighting something off, what did they do? Boredom must have been a big thing.
Oh, definitely. No smartphones back then.
Right. Easter mentions how they had to rely on creativity, Storytelling, social connection. He quotes his wife joking about running out of things to say camping.
Huh. Yeah, it wasn't until, what, radio in the 1920s, then TV, then the iPhone in 2007 that we got these constant, easy escapes from just being bored.
And maybe we've lost something important there, that ability to just sit with our thoughts, let the mind wander.
Could be. And maybe our social bonds weaken if we're always reaching for a device instead of each other.
And it wasn't just mental stuff. Physically, they were, well, way more active.
Just had to be. Easter mentions the Hadza people today. They get something like 14 times more physical activity than the average American.
That's right.
Living.
Wow, 14 times.
And our bodies show it, right? The way our feet are built, our tendons, sweating. We evolved for endurance, for movement.
It's such a contrast to now where exercise is something you schedule, if you're lucky.
And stress. They had stress, obviously, immense stress.
Life or death stress.
Yeah.
Starvation, injury, predators.
Right. Acute survival stress. Different from a lot of modern stress.
Yet Easter calls it first world stress. Traffic jams, work deadlines, social media.
Not usually immediate threats to survival, although the pandemic maybe gave us a taste of that older, more primal fear for a while.
Good point. So we've kind of traded one set of discomforts for another, avoided the old hardships.
But now we're facing a whole new set of problems, physical and mental health challenges.
And those stats we started with, they're pretty stark, aren't they?
Yeah. Huge increases in obesity, type 2 diabetes, mobility issues, heart disease, stuff that just wasn't that common before the 20th century.
And then the mental health side, those diseases of despair.
Depression, anxiety, addiction, suicide, overdose deaths climbing. And that drop in U.S. life expectancy is really sobering.
Haven't seen that kind of drop since World War I and the Spanish flu.
It really forces you to weigh the trade-offs, doesn't it? All this comfort and convenience. What's the hidden cost?
So if constant comfort has these downsides, what do we do? This is where Easter brings in the concept of misogi.
Right. From Marcus Elliott, the exercise physiologist.
How does he define it?
Basically, it's tackling something really, really hard, something with maybe a 50-50 chance of success.
Okay. Pushing your limit.
Exactly. Pushing right to the edge of your comfort zone. But crucially, it's not supposed to be lethal.
So 2 rules then.
Pretty much. Rule 1, it has to be genuinely difficult. Rule 2, you can't die.
Simple enough. Like a seriously tough hike where success isn't guaranteed, but it's safe.
Yeah, you're intentionally signing up for significant discomfort, but in a controlled way.
Easter connects us to Inuit traditions, right? Young hunters facing those incredibly tough first hunts.
Hunting narwhal or caribou in the Arctic builds skills, resilience, marks a transition.
Like those anthropological rites of passage.
Exactly. Separation, that middle liminal phase of challenge, then reintegration. Misogi can be like a modern way to consciously step into that challenging middle space.
And one really interesting part of this he mentions is building the capacity to be alone.
Yeah, solitude. It's not just about being away from people. It can be this really rich space for self-reflection.
And research backs this up. That time alone can be good for us.
Apparently so. Boosts productivity, creativity, even empathy and happiness. It's turning potential loneliness into valuable, rich solitude.
So, to make Misaki real, Easter shares his own big one, that Alaska trip.
The 33-day caribou hunt with Donnie, yeah, that's quite the example.
Talk about leaving comfort behind.
Totally. He describes the absolute remoteness, no trails, wild weather, grizzly bears, wolves.
And the basic stuff becomes a challenge, right? Like just having enough food or staying clean.
Oh, yeah. Carrying crushing packs, constant hunger, hours and hours of boredom just scanning for animals. Intense discomfort.
But his takeaway is fascinating.
It really is. Despite all that hardship, he felt more alive, more connected.
Mind quieter, less cluttered.
Yeah. The opposite of comfort creep, he called it. Experiencing profound discomfort actually expanded his world.
And this fits with some psychological research, doesn't it? About stress.
Mark Series' toughening hypothesis.
Which says?
Well, basically, too much stress is bad, obviously. But no stress, being totally sheltered, that's not optimal either.
So a middle ground is best. Facing some adversity.
Exactly. Facing manageable challenges seems to build psychological and even physical resilience. Makes you better able to handle future stress.
Siri found people with some history of adversity actually reported higher life satisfaction and fewer issues.
Yeah, compared to those who'd had it relatively easy. It's like building up an internal capacity by overcoming obstacles.
Easter also touches on how our environments, especially cities, might be a source of subtle discomfort.
Ah, the savanna theory of happiness. Satoshi Kanazawa's idea.
What's the core concept there?
It's that our brains evolved in smaller, more natural, open settings like savannas. And so really dense urban environments can create a kind of low-level unease.
Even with all the benefits cities offer.
Yeah. Opportunities, social connections, sure, but the constant density, the stimulation, it might clash with our evolved preferences, potentially lowering well-being.
He mentions that Harvard study ranking New York City last for happiness.
Right. It suggests that while cities make sense for survival and mating, maybe they're not always ideal for our fundamental sense of ease.
Okay, and speaking of unease, boredom. Easter really dives into boredom.
Yeah, drawing on James Dankert's research.
And Danker kind of flips the script on boredom, right? Says it isn't automatically bad.
Exactly. Boredom itself is neutral. It's how we respond to it that matters.
He did brain scans of people watching laundry.
Huh? Yeah, incredibly boring stuff. But what they saw was that boredom allows the mind to wander, to engage in creative thought, problem solving, things that get shut down when we're constantly grabbing for our phones.
Unlike social media, which is engineered to prevent boredom, to constantly capture attention.
Right. Those notifications, the algorithms, they're designed to be addictive.
Easter found himself actually missing boredom on his Alaska trip. That space for the mind to just roam.
And felt it led to greater awareness, more appreciation for the present moment.
Which ties into the whole nature discussion. The benefits of getting outside.
Yeah, definitely. There's a long history there. Humans seeking out nature.
Ancient Egyptian pleasure gardens.
Yeah.
Cyrus the Great. Putting parks in cities.
People have known it intuitively for ages, and now science is catching up. Rachel Hopman's work on nature helping burnout recovery.
Even brief exposure helps.
Seems so. And then there's the 3-day effect.
Right. Ken Sanders noticed it. David Strayer researched it.
After about 3 days off-grid in nature, creativity scores jump by like 50%. It's a huge effect.
He tells that story about the students camping, initially grieving their lost phone signal.
Receptionless grief, yeah. But then they adapt, start noticing the world around them differently.
It seems like the quiet, the reduced stimulation lets the brain reset somehow.
Makes sense. He even mentions that Cornell study on open plan offices.
People weren't reporting more stress, but their adrenaline was higher.
Yeah.
They were less productive.
Yeah, likely due to the constant background noise and distraction. We've gotten so used to noise, actual silence can feel uncomfortable now.
Okay, another discomfort, real hunger.
Trevor Kashey's distinction between reward hunger and real hunger.
Explain that.
Well, reward hunger is driven by dopamine. That hit we get from really tasty, often processed foods. It makes us crave more even when we're not actually physiologically hungry.
Like stress eating or the quarantine 15, eating for comfort, not fuel.
Exactly. Our modern food environment makes it so easy to eat for reward, constantly.
And Sachin Panda's research showed we eat over a really long window each day.
Yeah, like 15 hours on average for many people. Lots of snacking, always topping up.
And this messes with autophagy.
Autophagy. Yeah, it's basically your cell's cleanup process, getting rid of damaged parts, recycling waste, like cellular housekeeping.
And that kicks in when we don't eat.
Right. Usually after about 12 to 16 hours of fasting. But if we're eating almost constantly, that process gets inhibited. We miss out on those natural repair benefits.
Okay, shifting gears to physical activity again. Running and carrying.
Easter really emphasizes how fundamental movement was. We were basically professional athletes just to survive.
David Rachlin's work on the Hadza, it shows just how active they are.
And it counters that athletic savage myth. Humans aren't inherently lazy. We're capable of amazing physical feats when necessary. The problem is, modern life removes the necessity.
The inactivity mismatch hypothesis.
Exactly. And even how we exercise is different. Flat surfaces, cushioned shoes. It's less demanding than moving over natural terrain.
And our recovery is super comfortable, unlike our ancestors who just kept going.
Right. He brings up Lieberman's research on persistence hunting. Humans literally running animals to exhaustion. Our endurance is incredible.
And the whole barefoot running versus shoes debate.
And the importance of carrying heavy loads, that was just part of life.
Which leads to Jason McCarthy and Geo Rack.
Yeah, bringing back rucking, walking
Whoa.
with a weighted pack.
Why is that so beneficial?
It builds that core strength, the tactical chassis, he calls it. Shoulders to knees, great for overall fitness, less impact than running.
And studies show exercise, maybe including rucking, can be incredibly powerful medicine, right? As good as surgery or drugs for some conditions.
Absolutely. Things like claudication, preventing type 2 diabetes. Exercise is potent. Rucking engages the core. Glutes can even help with back pain, according to some research.
Okay, what about other physical stressors? Cold, altitude.
Yeah, he touches on those too. Research on the Ama divers in Japan who handle intense cold.
They adapt physiologically. Lower core temp, more brown fat.
Exactly. That brown fat helps generate heat without shivering, potentially aiding metabolism and weight control. It's fascinating.
And the Sherpas at high altitude.
Their mitochondria are super efficient at producing energy with less oxygen. It's why the train high, race low idea works for athletes. It improves how your body handles exertion overall.
So moving from the physical to the philosophical, pondering mortality.
Sounds grim, but Easter argues it has value. He talks about the cosmic calendar exercise, feeling insignificant at first.
But then he looks at Bhutan, gross national happiness.
Right. And there, reflecting on death isn't morbid. It's seen as a way to appreciate life more, to focus on what truly matters.
That concept of mitakpa, impermanence. Understanding that life is fleeting helps you prioritize meaningful things over just stuff.
That's the idea. He mentions a lama counseling the dying, how their priorities always shift away from the superficial towards connection, experience, what really counts.
And thinking about death can actually make us more caring towards others.
Research suggests so, yeah, it broadens perspective.
So ultimately, all these different forms of discomfort Easter explores, they seem to lead somewhere.
Yeah, towards a kind of profound awareness. After Alaska, he appreciated simple comforts more, sure, but he also had this deeper sense of time, its limits.
It links back to Marcus Elliott's idea, creating impressions in your scrapbook.
Exactly, doing things that are novel, meaningful, maybe a bit tough.
Hmm.
It makes time feel richer, fuller. It combats that feeling of life just rushing by unnoticed.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. Key takeaways from our deep dive today.
Well, we talked about comfort creep, how our standards shift unconsciously, and the evolutionary mismatch, how we're not really built for constant ease.
Right. And the potential costs of too much comfort, both physical and mental health.
But then the flip side, the surprising benefits of intentionally embracing discomfort.
Through things like Misaki challenges, getting into nature, allowing boredom, experiencing real hunger.
Physical challenges like rucking, maybe some cold exposure, even just contemplating mortality.
So, as you're listening, maybe think about how this applies to you. Where might that comfort creep be showing up in your life?
Are there areas where introducing a little healthy discomfort might actually boost your resilience, maybe even your satisfaction?
Could consciously adding small doses of discomfort be this kind of unexpected key to a more fulfilling life in our super comfortable world?
Perhaps the next time you feel that pull towards maximum ease, just pause and consider. What might you be missing out on by always taking the comfortable path?